What's up everyone? I'm Tim and this is my channel 40 Times Around, where we talk about everything related to motorcycles, camping, travel, and adventure. And today we're going to do a full breakdown and review of the Scorpion EXO AT950 modular enduro helmet. I've had my eye on this helmet for quite a while, so I'm pretty excited about this, and we're going to jump into it right after this. Okay, so I finally got my hands on a Scorpion EXO AT950, and luckily they have dropped in price a little bit. In fact, these start at only $269, and I'll actually link to these down below if you want to check it out. So I have been really excited about this helmet because I'm a big fan of the enduro style helmet for motorcycle touring, but I was always missing the modular aspect, especially sitting in traffic or maybe just riding through a national park on a hot day. Even just eating a quick snack without having to take the helmet off, it just seemed like such a great convenience. And when the concept of enduro modular first came out, they were super expensive and just kind of out of range for me. Scorpion stepped up to the plate and put out an option in a more reasonable price range, and so this helmet has been very intriguing to me. And I'm glad I finally have one and can see what it's all about. So we're out here riding around in California following the Kern River, and we actually just stopped at South Creek Falls. And we've been out here for about a week, and I kind of wanted to get a little time in the helmet before I did a video on this. And I've had a good chance to really get to know this helmet and really test it out in a few different conditions. So we already talked about pricing, so I'm going to break this down into 8 categories: comfort, aerodynamics, weight, sound, ventilation, visibility, safety rating, and overall value. I can tell you right off the bat before we jump in that I am a big fan of the look of this helmet. I love the enduro style, so I'm a little biased here, but I like the sleek lines and subtle details of the helmet. So we can get looks out of the way. I think it's a great looking helmet. It comes in 4 colors: matte black, a white, hyper silver, and my personal favorite is the matte anthracite. And there's also a few graphic options for roughly a $20 surcharge. Silver, pink, orange, and I think high vis. So let's get into the stuff that really matters, and let's start with comfort. And so with comfort, let's actually start with fitment. And this helmet is an intermediate oval shape, and as far as sizing, I would say this helmet fits as expected. There are 3 shell sides, by the way, and at first it was a little on the tight side for me, but it was broken in pretty well after a few hours. I actually wore it around my house for a little bit to break it in before this trip, and it was pretty comfortable by the time I left. The liner is a Quick Wick 2 antimicrobial fabric, and it is supposed to keep you cool and dry in warm weather and warm and cool weather. And we've hit some pretty wild temperatures out here, ranging from 115 down to the 50s, so I can attest to that. It's pretty good in all temperatures. We actually crossed the desert a few days ago, and it was well over 100 degrees, like I said. And we've seen some cooler temps up in the Sierra Nevadas, although nothing too extreme in that direction, but it did get down to about 50 up in the mountains. Now, the quick fit cheek pads work well with sunglasses, and even though this helmet has a drop-down visor, I'm a sunglass guy, so this was a nice feature in my opinion. Overall, I would say this is a comfortable helmet for what it is. Comparing it to my Arai XD4, which has been my main helmet for the last few years, I would say as far as comfort, it's pretty comparable. The XD4 took a lot longer to break in, so I would say the padding is probably a little more durable for long-term use, just based on how long it took to break in the Arai. I'm going to try not to compare this helmet too much to the Arai because they're obviously a totally different caliber of helmet, and it doesn't seem really fair to be comparing them too much, but that was my main helmet for a while, so that's kind of what's fresh in my mind. As far as comfort, I would say they're pretty comparable considering the price difference. Okay, so next let's go over the aerodynamics. So on our way out here, we crossed the desert on the 40 through one of the windiest areas in the US that I've seen. And it's just about the most consistently windy area, and we got blasted pretty good. Definitely not the worst I had seen out there. And so on the highway, this helmet was pretty aerodynamic as long as I had the face shield down and the visor down. And I actually took the top peak visor off just to kind of not put too much strain on my neck. And it was honestly pretty aerodynamic. It caught a little bit of wind to the side when I turned my head like this. You could feel it pulling a little bit. Nothing too crazy though. So as far as aerodynamics, this was pretty solid. Okay, so now let's talk about the weight. And so this helmet is obviously not the lightest helmet on the market, which isn't really a huge surprise for a modular helmet, which are known for being heavy, mostly due to the latching mechanisms. This helmet weighs 3.8 pounds, which for a modular is not terrible. Just for a reference point, modular helmets can range from 3 pounds for something like a Schuberth C3 and can go as heavy as 4 pounds 8 ounces. So for a mid-range priced helmet, I am happy with the weight that falls somewhere in the middle for a modular helmet. So the shell of this helmet is a lightweight polycarbonate shell, which basically means it's a less expensive resin material that is used in a lot of helmets. It's very strong and easy to mold into any shape, and because it's not super expensive, you'll find this in most mid-price point helmets. It's also supposed to maximize impact displacement in the event of a crash, but we'll get to that safety aspect soon. After a few really long days on the bike, I would say the weight is really not going to be a huge issue, especially like I said, considering it's a modular helmet. As far as sound, meaning how much noise this helmet diffuses, I read some reviews saying it was loud when the visor was on. I'll be honest with you, my first impression when I got on the highway with this helmet was that I wish I had brought earplugs with me. It was pretty loud right off the bat. I did kind of get used to it. It seems to actually be better with the visor up. With the visor down, the sound seems a lot harsher. Visor up seemed to kind of smooth out the rough sound of the helmet with the wind noise. After riding around with it for a while though, like I said, I've gotten used to it and it's really not terrible. It's not a super loud helmet. Again, not trying to compare it to my Arai, but that helmet was super quiet, so it is a little different for me, and it's definitely taking some getting used to. Okay, now let's talk about the ventilation. There are intake vents on the top of the helmet, which seems to work pretty well. And there's a two-step vent in the front by the mouth. The first position is a defroster defogger, and the second position is a defroster and also a vent. So my Arai had great ventilation, and I don't want to keep comparing the Scorpion to a helmet that was more than double the price. I actually think though, this helmet really held its own with ventilation, and the fact that you can pop the whole face up and that modular aspect, I mean, you can't really get much better ventilation than that. And as far as visibility in this helmet, I would say it's pretty superior. I have been really happy with the wide eye port, which helps with peripheral vision and actually allows me to see down further without having to tilt my head. As far as the face shield and how that affects visibility, the face shield is an Everclear no fog face shield with an anti-scratch hardened coating. And so far, all of that seems to be holding true. I haven't gotten any scratches on it. I've been, pretty rough with it on this trip so far. Just riding around and, things hitting me in the face on the highway or bugs or whatever else, wiping it off with a paper towel and nothing scratched it. Visibility through it seems great. Okay, so safety rating, but first let's just do a quick lesson on what safety ratings of helmets are before we talk about this specific helmet. There's a few things to look for in terms of safety of a helmet, and I may do a video getting into more detail on this at some point, but for now let's just do a brief overview. Any motorcycle helmet for street use in the United States must have at least a DOT certification. This means the helmet meets the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Administration's requirements to be safe for road use. It's a fairly basic certification, and the way I think about it is that if a half-shell helmet can be DOT approved, then their regulations are probably not all that strict. In Europe, I believe the ECE, or the Economic Community of Europe, is the same as the DOT sticker. Another certification would be a Snell sticker. The Snell Memorial Foundation is a private, non-profit organization that holds very high standards for helmet safety ratings. Helmet manufacturers will send samples of their helmets to Snell for testing and hope that they pass so they can sell their product with the Snell sticker on it. They definitely have a reputation for safety, so this sticker goes a long way. And so they're not legally required for street use. However, they may be required for some competition or races. SHARP is another certification which stands for Safety Helmet and Assessment Ratings Program. This is a UK-based program that tells how well a helmet will protect during an impact. They use a 1 to 5 scale, and they mostly focus on full-face helmets. So the thing is, these stickers can't really be compared because they all test different things in different ways, although some tests are similar. DOT is the minimum, of course, and Snell is reserved for the best and safest helmets. Other than that, it's difficult to judge a helmet based on a sticker. It is safe to assume that most real-world motorcycle crashes happen below the DOT requirements, meaning that most of the time in a real-world scenario, DOT is enough to protect you. Just remember that full-face helmets are going to be safer than half helmets, but we really need to look at some other factors to make an informed decision on safety. The main thing that protects you in a crash is the styrofoam lining, and the outer shell is meant to keep the styrofoam together during an impact, and it will also spread out the force. So all these components matter, and earlier we talked about the polycarbonate outer shell. There are a few other styles to talk about real quick just to give you a reference point on what this all means. Polycarbonate is the base of most helmets. It's a resin, like I said earlier, and so a fiberglass helmet means that fiberglass was added to the polycarbonate. Same goes for carbon fiber and Kevlar composite too. Carbon fiber is the lightest and safest, then Kevlar, fiberglass, and finally polycarbonate. So that should give you some idea on the safety of this helmet in the event of a crash. I don't intend to test that out any further. I will say that I feel very safe in this helmet and that it is definitely safety is a priority for me, so that's a big plus. So just to wrap everything up here, let's talk about the overall value in my opinion. There are a few more neat features that I think give this helmet a pretty good boost in my opinion. The drop-down sun visor is pretty convenient. I've used that a few times when I kind of jumped the gun on putting my sunglasses away. That also has an anti-fog coating on both sides. Also, the flip-up mechanism is super easy and has a good solid build quality. Definitely seems pretty durable. There are speaker pockets which were convenient when I installed a Bluetooth system in it. The liners all come out really easy, which was nice. There are a few ways to set this helmet up depending on the type of riding you're doing. On the highway coming out here, I took the visor off, and the helmet comes with these removable block-off plates for that scenario. The visor and face shield can both be installed separate of each other, meaning if you just want one installed at a time, then that works. The helmet will take goggles. I haven't tried that yet, but I am definitely planning on it when I get this thing off-road a little bit. I also appreciate the confidence boost of a 5-year warranty, especially considering all the moving parts. That's definitely a nice aspect. So my overall opinion of this helmet is that it's a great buy for the money. I think it's a great value for a helmet in this price bracket. I will definitely be using it a lot more on some upcoming adventures. I love the versatility and the comfort is great. It just seems like a solid option for anyone in the adventure touring category that doesn't want to drop close to $800 for the Schuberth E1. I think it's worth at least considering if you're looking for a modular adventure helmet, and like I said, I'll link to this helmet down below in case you want to check it out and see any of the other color options too. Anyways, that's my review of the Scorpion EXO AT950 helmet. I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, make sure you hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more videos about motorcycles, camping, travel, and adventure. And make sure to hit that little bell, that way you guys turn on notifications and don't miss anything whenever I post something new. Anyways, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.